Hi, this is Arun Peti. I take psychology optional and ethics at Kingmakers Academy. We will be discussing the 2024 UPSC Civil Service Mains GS Paper 4 questions. I have taken Section B questions. Before I go, this is my digital avatar, Jalal the Ethicist. I have a Telegram channel in that name, Jalal the Ethicist. So you could follow me on that. Now let's take the first question. So the first question talks about a kind of case similar to that of OpenAI and Sam Altman. Just keep that in head. They have not made it specific, but something like that. So I'll just read it out for you pretty quick. There is a technological company named ABC Incorporated, which is the second largest worldwide, situated in the third world. That's a very crucial point. It's situated in the third world, where probably the resources are already under strain. You are the chief executive officer and the majority shareholder. That is also a critical point. That means you have real vested interest in that. You yourself are a majority shareholder and you are also the chief executive officer. So you have pretty good powers with you. The fast technological improvements have raised worries about among environmental activists, regulatory authorities, and the general public over the sustainability of this scenario. You confront substantial issues about the business environmental footprint. In 2023, your organization had a significant increase of 48% in greenhouse gas emissions compared to the levels recorded in 2019. So it's an established record that the greenhouse emissions have gone up. The significant rise in energy consumption is mainly due to the surging energy requirements of your data centers, fueled by the exponential expansion of artificial intelligence. So this is a kind of crisis, environmental crisis created by AI research because it demands excessive power. So the AI-powered services need much more computational resources and electrical energy compared to conventional online activities, notwithstanding their notable gains. The technology's proliferation has led to a growing concern over the environmental repercussions, resulting in an increase in warnings. AI models, especially those used in extensive machine learning, EML, extensive machine learning, and data processing, exhibit much greater energy consumption than conventional computing tasks, with an exponential increase. So you get the picture, background picture. It's basically an AI research company. You know that AI research requires huge data processing units, servers, which has to be cooled. It requires a lot of water, cooling systems, and it also consumes a lot of energy. Although there is already a commitment and goal to achieve the net emissions by 2030. So this is also a very critical point. On the previous slide, we saw that the greenhouse gas emissions have gone up. Now we see that there's already a commitment and goal to achieve the net zero emissions by 2030. The challenge of lowering emissions seems overwhelming as the integration of AI continues to increase. So probably we should understand that the commitment and goal of net zero emissions is also on the company. Okay, the company is also committed to this. To achieve this goal, substantial investments in renewable energy use would be necessary. So they are already giving you the solution. The difficulty is exacerbated by the competitive environment of the technology sector, where rapid innovation is essential to preserve market standing and shareholders' worth. So that's a dilemma. So they are also presenting you the dilemma to achieve, and also the solution. To achieve a balance between innovation, profitability, and sustainability, a strategic move is necessary that is in line with all of these things, and business objectives and both business objectives and ethical obligations. So it's very clear what is ethical dilemma and what is the path forward. Now, they have put 4 questions in front of you. The first question is, what is your immediate response to the challenges posed in the above case? So there are subtle differences between these sub-questions. The first question asks the immediate response to the challenges posed in the above case. Second one, discuss the ethical issues involved in the above case. So what are the larger ethical issues? Third one, you're going to be penalized. So how are you going to justify the necessity of AI or the AI research or whatever you are doing with your company is, that can be justified logically and ethically. Lastly, what measures would you adopt to maintain the balance between the AI innovation and environmental footprint? So these are the sub-questions. Let's get into it one by one. Naturally, the script clearly says there are no quick solutions. It has been clearly stated in the story that they have narrated to you that there is no quick fix. And what is required also they have told, that large investments in green energy. So immediately what you could do, see, whenever you deal with a case study, it's very important that you take that role seriously, put yourself in the shoes of the person and try to understand in the real context what you would do. Not only just giving a solution, but also trying to address the issue at large, your mental makeup, your attitude, your emotions, everything matters. So the immediate response is like, I need to first not go on the defensive mode. I cannot say that, don't you know that it requires a lot of energy? Don't you know that we have already made a commitment? Or you could always go about saying this is a conspiracy created by our competitors. It's an idea behind the hostile takeover. I could tell any of these things and just shut down all these criticisms. I don't think that's the right way forward. So first, the immediate response is to acknowledge these criticisms and understand the reality. And whatever possible penalization, you have to prepare yourself, your company to face them, to fight them, to prevent them. And also you should take the criticisms in a very constructive way. That's the first immediate thing that I could do at my mental level. This is what I could do. Since we have no immediate solutions, there's no magic, there is no technological one-stop solution here. What you could do is, at least you could start something in that direction as early as possible. So in that sense, you could set up an internal technical committee, a committee of scientists who could come out with ways of reducing the environmental footprint. Sometimes we may not be able to do in a very dramatic, large way, but small savings here and there might accumulate to be a very helpful measure, when they come together. So maybe, the scientist, a technical committee can help you out, but get it started. That's the immediate thing I could do. Or I could try to form an alliance with other competitors. This happens in many industries, where the competitors come together, sit together, and brainstorm and come up with a solution. Because this is not whether it is ABC Incorporated or any other company, the problem is same. Any company that deals with AI research is going to face this dilemma. So why not the industry leaders come together and resolve this issue collectively through cooperation and self-regulation? Why wait for, some kind of penalization from the government? Why not we do it this way? So that is what the immediate response could be, just because in this case particularly, we cannot solve the issue just like that. What are the ethical issues generally involved? I think the question itself gave you the answer. So basically, on one side, you have a problem like this is a cutting-edge research, and you got to be ahead of the curve. You need to really innovate and a lot to be discovered. So it's a learning kind of process. So the scientific innovation is very important. Another thing is the profit, not only short-term but long-term profit making. Employees are dependent on you. Shareholders are dependent on you. So these issues are there. And then lastly, the environmental footprint. So it's very important that the future generation is not affected, their interest is not affected. And even in the near future, many of our own people, like the present society would be facing water crisis or energy crisis because of this research. So this is the basic dilemma here. So you cannot just afford to miss the bus. That's one important. You have a fiduciary duty to give the share in the profit to the shareholders. You are responsible for, as an employer, to take care of the needs of the employees. The company should not shut down. The company should keep going. And but we of course, because of this necessity of energy consumption and water consumption, we definitely are in the line of fire from the activists and governments. And definitely we need a massive investment. So this dilemma I've just elaborated. I think this one sentence addresses what are the ethical issues here. So on one end, we seem to be ethically doing something good for the humanity. On the other end, we also it's something like a dilemma. That's a good in it, but that's a bad in it. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That kind of scenario is there. Moving on to the next slide. I'm just continuing this. So this money that I may put in, finding alternate energies, let's assume that Okay, I go by the suggestion that I have to invest pretty big in green energies, renewable energies, to solve this problem, to reduce my footprint, the green gas emission footprint. The risk is that's going to eat into my profit, probably even sustainability of the company. That's going to be a challenge. So the company should not run into losses. Many places this renewable energy stuff has been shut down just because it's not sustainable. So at the same time, if I'm too environment friendly, I may lose out to the competitors. Somebody in a less regulated country, if a AI research company is violating all the rules, including environmental concerns, and they may get ahead and they may be the market leader in near future. So these issues are there. If I am investing in green energy, these are the problems. If I don't, I risk myself to be penalized by the regulators. So these are the ethical dilemmas, ethical issues. Moving on to the next one. What are the logical and ethical arguments that you would put forward to convince the necessity of AI and AI research? So just ignore for the time being what's written on the slide. From a very logical point of view, what we can, we should do. We have the ability, today we have the technology, we are at the edge of coming up with amazing AI models that can do a lot, which was not possible earlier. So, logical progression of science and technology. The second one is, logically, we all know that there are limitations to human capabilities. There are many problems that humans cannot solve, say, prediction of weather, prediction of climate change, or finding extraterrestrial life. A lot of things, a lot of problems, even macro financial or economic problems, it's beyond human capability. So when we have a technology that can find solutions for us, it's a golden duck. This is a fact. I think it's important that we explore that. Ethically, how could you justify? See, ethically, as a process, it's something like we are capable of creating a new technology, and that process is going to benefit the scientific field itself. So deontologically, the process of coming up with a new technology is a good thing. We are just developing the field of science itself and the technology itself. And if you look at why we are doing this, the ethical justification, like teleological justification, could be the larger good. So in both ways, we could support the need for AI, the need for research in that particular field. Because in fear of some potential drawbacks, we should not hold back humanity. And only when we actually do it and try to find solutions for the dangerous side effects it creates, we could come to a conclusion that whether it is good or bad. So we just cannot hold back just because it's probably violation of some ethics or probably it is dangerous. So I think in both ways, AI and AI research is mandatory. I would be putting forth some arguments. So I know that it is required. So there are many issues, like for example, I have put here like whether climate change or finding exoplanets or even handling of national security and all these things, AI can do much better. In fact, day-to-day life can become a lot better with the help of AI. AI is a reality. You just cannot deny that reality. So definitely I would be propagating a very positive, constructive defense of AI and AI research. And you should also understand other ideas like, when I do this research, it gives employment to a lot of people, employment to a lot of scientists. It is generating a chain of jobs and a new area. So in that way, it's going to be ethically justifiable. And I have added some points which are not exactly fitting in here, but I'll just read it out for you. This, I think, should not have been here. Sorry for that. But anyway, so the point here is, I would just say that if the government or the activists are going to, penalize us in some way or the other, it's going to be penalizing the entire industry and the entire technology itself, which I won't be supporting because I would have my reasons why they should be there. Another thing is, it is not a problem of my company alone. It's not even the segment of industry which is involved in AI research, but it is the collective responsibility of the entire society, including the government. So I think as a society, we have to find solutions for it, rather than seeing some are good people and we are the bad people. I think that's a very distorted thinking. So as part of my justification of why AA in research, I will also be pushing some ideas why it should be allowed and why we should not be penalized. Both the points are important. Moving on to the next one. Measures to maintain a balance between AI innovation and environmental footprint. Ultimately, as a CEO and as a majority shareholder, I need to really find a solution rather than run away from it and try to come up with solutions. AI is a pretty high-tech area, so probably not every one of you might be aware of all the information related to AI technologies that could be energy saving. So I have presented some. Please go through this video with a perspective that in a real time, you, me, anybody would not be able to give a perfect answer. So whatever points I put here, it's kind of, it's an ideal kind of scenario. But in a real world, most probably you may not be able to generate this much points. But this is just a kind of, exercise, intellectual exercise that we go through. And it just may be helping you in future exams and stuff like that. And make some sense, how we can deal with these kind of questions. Okay. Starting with the first point, sometimes, AI is an agent. You could ask it to do some work for you. So why not we ask AI itself for solving the energy crisis problem? Probably, with its computational power, maybe it could give you some insights which the human scientists may not be able to come up with. So using AI itself to address its own side effects of AI research. That's one possibility. Another thing is, green energy is a pretty tricky one. The efficiency part, it's definitely on the lower side. So better to invest in a diverse, in a basket of green energies, not sticking with one green energy. Maybe solar, maybe wind, mini nuclear plants. There could be multiple resources, wave energy, tidal energy, geothermal energy. You have a lot of these things, but depending upon where the factories or where the data cooling centers or servers are operating, depending on that, the regional availability, you could always go for multiple kind of green energies. That's another solution. Then, as we talked about earlier, many of these things we could share with our competitors, be it the energy resources, be it the components, be it the technology, you could use the cloud services more often. So that's a collective way of sharing the internet on the cloud. Then you could do more research by improving the efficiency of the AI models. As part of AI research, I think making them more and more energy efficient is as much part of, developing a model. It's not just whether the model is able to do something better. Is it able to do with less energy consumption? I think that's integrated part of research. Moving on to some more technical stuff. So there is something called artificial neural networks, ANN, which is more energy consuming, always on kind of mode. And alternatively, we have something called spiking neural networks, SNN, which is more energy efficient, which is not always on the on mode. Another thing is, there is a model called lifelong learning, LLL, where you don't need to retrain it. Whatever it has learned in the past, the knowledge built remains. So that's one more thing. Model pruning is you remove multiple parameters, simplified. Knowledge distillation is you develop a model and then transfer it into a smaller scale. You train data on a larger model, and then whatever has been learned is transferred to a smaller scale model. Then there is a particular heuristic algorithm called modified heuristic algorithm for energy saving. Then finally, quantum computing, which is the next stage in the evolution of AI research or computing research. So when you use these alternate technologies, definitely there is scope for, reducing the energy consumption. One solution, the story has given you, that is invest in green energy. The other one is, why not you make it more efficient, reduce the demand. So the supply demand, both sides we have to work on. Additionally, efficient processors, efficient data centers, energy efficient servers, environment friendly cooling systems, using sustainable recycled materials in computing hardware like graphic processing units or general processing units. See, the large language models like ChatGPT are definitely more energy consuming. Use them only when necessary. You could go for domain-specific AI models, which is narrow. ChatGPT is a very general model. It can answer anything that you throw at it. It's not an expert in a particular field. So we may go for that kind of domain-specific AI models more often. And generally, like corporate governance, you need to maintain standards of transparency, accountability through the AI cycle. This is a problem of many companies today. They are very secretive about how much water they consume, how much energy they use. They sometimes even lie around this data, hide data, distort data. Sometimes some companies are actually working against the environment, but they do kind of whitewashing, greenwashing, whatever you want to call it. So it's very important that they are transparent and they maintain high standards of integrity when it comes to this environmental cost component. That's it. So standards of good corporate governance, ESG norms, environment, sustainability and governance norms, and as part of corporate social responsibility, they don't need to go out of their way to do something, but even if we are able to save the environment and try to, because the script says that ABC Incorporated is one of the second of its largest of its kind, and it's located in the third world. It's very important there the CSR comes into the picture. So they try to invest in alternate energies, not only for the company but also benefits the village, something like that. So they could extend this idea, like balancing this market innovation and environment with that of social service and helping the society too. So this is the first question. I'll be moving on to the second question. We'll be taking up the second question, 2024 GS Mains Ethics paper, section B. Raman is a senior IPS officer and has recently been posted as DG of a state. Among the various issues and problems and challenges which needed his immediate attention, the issue relating to recruitment of unemployed youth by an unknown terrorist groups was a matter of grave concern. So it's pretty busy. A lot of job demands are there, but this is the most important issue right now. It was also noted that unemployment was relatively high in the state as a whole. So the state has a problem of unemployment. The problem of unemployment among graduates and those with higher education, so educated, unemployed or high, was much more grave. Thus, they were vulnerable and soft targets. So already the script clearly states the reason for the grave matter. Recruitment of unemployed youth by a terrorist organization. Why that happens? Because educated unemployment is high and they are therefore vulnerable and soft targets. In the review meeting taken by him with senior officers of DIG range and above, it came to light that a new terrorist group has emerged at the global level. So that means they are spreading their tentacles into our country too, even though they are a global organization. I mean, they did not originate here. It's a global level organization. And it has launched a massive drive to recruit young unemployed people. Special focus was to pick young people for a particular community. So this kind of thing can happen anywhere with any community. No name is given, but a particular community, there is a focus for the organization to recruit. The said organization seemed to have a clear objective of using them for carrying out militant activities. So the very idea of recruiting them is to put them into militant activities. It was also gathered that the new group is desperately trying to spread its tentacles in the state. A definite reliable intelligence tip was received by the state CD and cyber cell that a large number of such unemployed youth have already been contacted by the terrorist outfit through social media and local communal organizations. So it's not only via social media. There are other contacts, which could be anything, and there are local communal organizations who believe in communalism, communalist ideologies. The need for the hour was to act swiftly and to check these elements' designs before they assume serious proportions. Discreet inquiries made by the police through the cyber cell revealed that good number of unemployed youth are very active. This is the other side. These unemployed, educated people are very active on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Where would they be? Yeah. On an average, many of them were spending 6 to 8 hours each day using electronic devices and internet, etc. It also came to light that such unemployed youth were showing sympathy and endorsing the messages received from certain persons, allegedly the contact persons of the global terrorist groups. So they are sympathizing with the cause. The social media accounts revealed their strong affinity to such groups. It seemed they succumbed to their ploy and started propagating secessionist ideology. Their posts were hypercritical of the government's initiative, policies, and they were subscribing to the extremist beliefs and promoting secessionism, extremism, and they are hypercritical of the government. So this is the background. Now let's go to the questions. What are the options available to Raman to tackle the above situation? So you need to cover all the options. What measures would you suggest for strengthening the existing setup to ensure that such groups do not succeed in penetrating and vitiating the atmosphere in the state? And thirdly, in the above scenario, what action plan would you devise for enhancing the intelligence gathering mechanism of the police force? The last one is a very specific thing. It's more about, in this context, how to improve the intelligence gathering process. It's more technical, very narrow domain. The second one, first one, kind of overlapping, because when I'm talking about the options, obviously I'll be talking about the measures to strengthen the existing setup also, to prevent the spread of the global terrorist organization. Let's try to balance it, okay, and figure out how to go about doing it. First one, options. Beyond what I have written on the slide, I would also recommend I would be talking certain things. So please, whenever you see the video, please note it down. Not necessarily everything is on the slide. Whenever they are asking you what are the options, you don't need to stick with only the ideal, good moral options. When the question is what are the options, most ideal, less than ideal, second best, third best, I call it as good, bad, ugly. You could talk about the bad and ugly options too, with its minimal consequences written there, and why you should not be selecting them and why you should be selecting the most ideal option. I have focused here most on the most ideal option, but even though I have not written on the slide, you could always tell certain things, which are not very ideal. Well, I'll finish this and then just add on that. So here, for a problem like this, or any problem for that matter in society, you don't have a one-stop solution or a unidimensional solution or a single kind of way forward. We always need to take various approaches, a mixed bag approach. So it has to be multidimensional and it has to be done holistically. What I'm trying to say here is, it's not just a law and order problem. It's not just an intelligence operation, it's more than that. Even the police with their own jurisdictions, they need to approach this problem holistically and seek cooperation from the respective agencies and departments. Well, so I have divided this option into two sides, the pull side and the push side. Because if a terrorist organization is aggressively marketing itself, reaching out to people from a community, on the other side, there has to be something to push them towards these people. If they are trying to pull them towards them, these kids towards them, there should be a push factor too. So we need to understand both. So what could be the pull side? Like what would be the advantages on the terrorist organization side? So we need to really understand that. Already we have talked about you are getting inputs from cyber wing and intelligence units. So keep tracking, keep surveilling them. If possible, trap, somebody, follow them. That's what counterintelligence operation is all about. And you need to really study the pattern, study these messages. Probably you need to put somebody inside to, keep tracking and passing on this information. So you need to understand what kind of messages they post. How do they clickbait? How do they first initiate contact? So those kind of things, what messages, what videos, where they post, how they post, what distortion they do in the messages, how do they appeal to these people, what is the trigger point? We need to really understand that. So we have to use human intelligence and electronic intelligence using various sources, state level, because as a terrorist organization, definitely you need to be in touch with the Home Ministry and the resources of the Home Ministry, even the External Affairs Ministry, I'm not sure about that, but whatever possible from the other wings of the government, you need to use them. So the basic idea here is it's a policing thing, a proper investigation, proper collecting of evidence, but the evidence have to be actionable evidence, because your idea is not to shoot them up, but to put them in jail and put them through the due course of law. And therefore, whenever you collect evidence, they have to be properly documented, and they stand in the court. Excuse me. Yeah. So we need to really identify those kind of things. And this is what I have put up in this slide, and moving on to the next one. So from the push side, I believe this is even more important. Because I think something works because there is somebody to receive it. I think that is a sustainable way, because if you stop this terrorist organization, something else will pop up. So what pushes these youngsters? Being unemployed is just one small reason of the larger picture. So for sustainable peace and security, this is very important. Spending time on social media, being unemployed, they are just facilitating factors. They are not the real push factors. That, if you don't identify that, then we won't be able to solve this problem. So, very important point. Raman, the police officer, should not go into this issue with a prejudiced mindset. This is important for any investigating officer, that they start something, trying to study something without any bias in their mind. That's very important. What matters is truth. So he needs to identify the causes of anger, the frustration. Some kind of injustice is perceived by these people. That's why they easily fall for it. What is that? Is there a real injustice happening to members of some community, or it is just in their mind, a distorted fact just in the perception? So that's very important. Only when you understand that, you can go forward. Investigation, tracking, surveilling, capturing terrorists has to go hand in hand with understanding the mind of the youth, those people who are attracted to this. Of course, the most important thing is, once you identify these individuals, you need to reach out to them through their parents, and you start de-radicalization programs. But whether the de-radicalization programs would be successful or not depends on the genuineness of it. We should do it without paternalizing these youth. If you assume that they are, Bal Buddhi kind of people, that's not a very right approach to, deal with them. They would have their own logic and their own motivations and their own perceptions. So respectfully, without paternalizing, realistically, genuinely, if you are indulging de-radicalization program, that would be effective. You cannot do it without involving the other people, like family. Since here the script, they talk about one religious community, definitely the religious leaders come into the picture. And there are a lot of good Samaritans among the same community or outside that community whose good offices could be used by you. And not only the people who have already fallen for this agenda of the terrorist group, but who are at risk. That is more important. As we always say, prevention is better than cure. Who are at risk group, or which age group, who have not yet come into this, brainwashed situation. So we need to identify them. Always, whenever we say, of course, the answers are very clear. Give them job, but police cannot just do it so easily. Yes, today there is special funds for the police organizations, which they can use for community services, involving the community and things like that, depending upon the state. Well, if that is possibility for the police forces to give them some kind of jobs, or at least train them, skill them up, well, that can be done. Give alternatives to the social media thing. So probably, you cannot ban social media. These are not children. I mean, they are technically youth, probably beyond 18 too. So you cannot just ban social media, mobile devices. Of course, if they are younger, probably the parents should bring in some kind of mobile phone regulation, mobile phone use regulation. Otherwise, you cannot just ban it or take it out of them. But we should give them some kind of alternatives so that they could indulge themselves intellectually, emotionally, socially. Probably, some of the state police forces have come up with these kind of football clubs or any kind of martial arts, or I don't know, arts and dance, music, whatever, any option that engages these people, and directly targeting the toxic propaganda. Because once you do the proper study of what kind of messages, how do they distort, you could always provide alternatives. So this is the video that you might have seen, and this is cropped video. Now you look at the full video. That's more than enough. How the perception will change when you put the full video rather than the cropped video. So it's very important, like identifying fake videos and other kind of things, and fight fake information with truth. So that's very important. Definitely the police force, Raman himself cannot do all these things. He had to collaborate with the NGOs, he has to collaborate with civil society organizations, he had to collaborate with the district collectorate and other departments, education, I don't know, whichever possible, it has to be done. So I think in this we have covered both sides, the ideal option. And beyond this, what I have not told or what I have not written here, please do write it. You could have an evasive option, you could just chill, leave this issue. Mechanically let it go. Already the cyber cell is tracking, already everything is on. You all know these things are happening. So you don't, you just maintain the same state of, because this is one of the issues and there are many issues. So just, keep it as it is. So that's one option, but that's not a very responsible of you. And very soon this problem is going to acquire big proportions, gigantic proportions, and you might be facing a bigger problem at your hand, maybe a terrorist attack, a bomb blast or something like that. The other option could be you act in a biased manner. You believe that some communities are like this only, and go for very extensive arrests of the youth, beat them up, third-degree treatments and stuff like that, which sometimes happens. But if such an approach is taken, you will be ending up alienating the entire community and creating more problems rather than solving it. So you could just mention these things. Options are multifold, but what should be done, what should not be done is very clear. Moving on. What are the measures that you could strengthen the existing setup? As I saw, these two B and C kind of overlaps, not at least B overlaps anyway. So what you could do is, as I told earlier, human intelligence and electronic intelligence, so SIGINT and human. You have to continue using that, and you have to get all resources, all support from the central government, not just stick with the facilities available at the state government level. So definitely you need to take it to the next level of the intelligence operation, the intelligence operation to go to the next level. Have moles and penetrate into these groups on social media. So decoy, uneducated youth. Like that you could act and indulge in counter-espionage or counter-intelligence operation. Whenever possible, any contacts or any recruiting agent of this group, if you are able to capture them, interrogate them with due process of law, and get more information on the other agents, what agenda they have, who is responsible for India operation or who is responsible for the state operation. Try to get hold of those people. And in general, you need to warn the communities. You need to have meetings with the particular community where the youth are being attracted. We have to meet with the youth. We have to meet with the elder people. We have to meet with the women folk. It's very important to meet with families and neighborhoods and other organizations that will be community organizations and social organizations. Sometimes you need to warn certain organizations. Sometimes you need to indulge in dialogue with certain organizations, depending upon what kind of organization they are. And of course, again, without paternalizing, without blaming the community, in a very realistic, genuine way, empathizing with them, you should be able to help them understand that, don't lose your children to these dangerous agenda. They are unrealistic, and they cannot solve the problems, and it's going to increase the problems. That information has to be gone, and it should be seen as a patriotic duty, not only just out of love they should protect their children, but also as a patriotic duty towards the nation. It's important for them to do it. But we are very careful to do this without paternalizing, not make them feel that the community is suspect when it comes to patriotism. That's a very bad way of going in solving this problem. And it's not a community problem. It's a societal problem. So just because youth from one community get attracted doesn't mean I should be focused more on that community and leave other communities out of the picture. Very important to get support from all the communities, because ultimately presence or absence of social capital can fuel this kind of problems. So it's very important that social unrest, any kind of communal tendencies, any kind of bigotry in the society, that has to be fought by the police in their own way within their limitations and jurisdictions. Moving on to the next one. The action plan for enhancing the intelligence gathering mechanism, slightly more technical. One thing is better equipment. I have not mentioned very specifically, but this point was taken up in the previous slide. So more funding, more equipment, better equipment to keep tab. If need be, keep a tab on the communication devices, phones, of course with due permissions, legally permissible, and all those kind of things. That can be whatever is possible, that has to be done. It's better if you have a dedicated team on it, because there are many problems, but this is the grave problem, gravest of all. And therefore you should have the best possible team when it comes to intelligence gathering or capturing the terrorist or in interrogation. You have to have the best team. If there is a team of dedicated officers, it will be doing a lot of good. Then coordination is a problem always in our government. So efficient coordination is very important, so that we don't miss out any leads, we don't miss any opportunity. So that Raman has to take charge of, connecting the concerned departments and officials. Then you should have a network of informers, not just the moles, but also the informers. That's very important. And because this, new age terrorism, this global terrorist network, or altogether a new breed, they are highly advanced technologically, they are heavily funded. So I think the police personnel have to be really sensitized and trained in a new way. So whatever possible that within your powers, the state police is trained in dealing with these menace. So I think that's very important, not only in intelligence gathering and analysis, but also how you deal with this youth, how you deal with this community, and all those things are very, very important. So that's the end of the second question.